Hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk about the responsibility and the liability in the case of AI systems. People are not concerned with liability when everything goes fine and no one suffers harm. This concept comes into play only when something goes wrong. Some damage is done, people get hurt, and property gets stolen. Then people want to know who is responsible, who gets blamed, and who is liable for damages or compensation. Now we're gonna delve into the critical topic of liability in the military use of artificial intelligence and autonomous weapons. International humanitarian law permits combatants to engage enemy forces and destroy war-related targets, but it strictly prohibits the killing of non-combatants. Now imagine a scenario, a war between a red state and a blue state. The Red Air Force Commander Samantha Jones has an identical twin sister, Jennifer, who is a hairdresser with no direct contribution to the war effort. One day, an autonomous drone employing facial recognition software misidentifies Jennifer as the high-value target Samantha. Without proper verification, the drone launches a missile at Jennifer's car, killing her instantly. Now the question arises, who or what is to blame for this wrongful killing of Jennifer? Who should be held responsible and liable for this tragic mistake? To better understand, let's consider the scenario with human pilots remotely piloting the drone. The human pilots, following orders from the General Smith of Blue Air Force, use facial recognition software and examine various images of Samantha Jones. However, the limited database only includes images of high-value targets, not the entire enemy population. Consequently, the human pilots misidentify Jennifer as Samantha due to their limited dataset. They bear responsibility for their mistake. In the case of the autonomous drone, determining blame, responsibility, and liability becomes more complex. These questions surrounding liability and culpability in the context of autonomous weapon raise profound ethical and legal concerns. As we explore the military use of artificial intelligence, it is essential to consider the implications of autonomous weapons and address the challenges surrounding accountability and responsibility in the rapidly evolving landscape. Now we will discuss the type of liability and responsibility related to this scenario. Attribution of responsibility and liability. In the case of wrongful killing of Jennifer, determining blame requires understanding the causal chain of events and decision makers. Both the human pilots and the autonomous weapon system AWS relied on the facial recognition software to identify the target. The mistake occurred due to the incomplete information in the software, leading to misidentification. The fault lies with the intelligence features in not including Jennifer images in the system. Moral responsibility versus liability. Moral responsibility may be attributed to various individuals involved, such as political leaders, pilots, programmers, or intelligence officers. However, legal liability requires presenting evidence in a court or legal proceeding. Assigning blame to the AWS, which lacks emotions or consciousness, may not be meaningful. The pragmatic approach to hold a human or the operating state responsible for the actions of the AWS. Strict liability. Strict liability is a legal concept that holds companies or individuals responsible for harm or damage caused, even without direct wrongdoing. It applies when negative consequences arise regardless of intent or foreseeability. Autonomous vehicles and AI technologies may fall under the framework of strict liability, considering the potential for unforeseen harm. Assigning responsibility to manufacturers, operators, or developers becomes crucial in these cases. Now we're going to talk about complex liability, the problem of many hands. Complex liability situations often involve multiple individuals contributing to a wrongful event. It may be challenging to assign blame to a single person in such cases. In the absence of individual liability, collective entities like states can be held responsible. Strict liability can be assigned to the operating state in the AWS scenario, ensuring accountability and appropriate sanctions. In conclusion, the scenario presented highlights the challenges of attributing responsibility and liability in cases involving autonomous weapons and wrongful killings, whether it is the human pilots or the autonomous weapon system. Both relied on facial recognition software that had incomplete information, leading to a tragic misidentification. While moral responsibility may be distributed among political leaders, pilots, programmers, and intelligence officers, legal liability requires evidence presented in a court of law. punishing an emotionless and non-sentient system like AWS seems impractical. Thus, assigning responsibility to a human or the operating state becomes a pragmatic solution. Strict liability can be applied, ensuring accountability for the actions of an AWS and providing compensation for damages caused. In complex liability situations where multiple individuals contribute to an unfortunate event, collective entities like states can be held responsible. By understanding the nuances of responsibility and liability, we can strive to strike a balance between justice, accountability, and the evolving landscape of autonomous technologies. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.